I'm Elaine Sims. I'm on the campus of St. Catharine's College in Pettis Auditorium. This is October, and we have the honor of having Dr. Leah Baines with us again. I think we've had you with us twice
couple
now.
times. Mm-hmm.
Dr. Baines is program director of the Berry Farming Program. I think we need to touch, number one, on Wendell Berry and then what the Berry Farming Program is, because I still think there's a lot of people out there that don't understand this.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me on again. I'm always delighted to talk about the work that we're doing here at St. Catharine College. And the Berry Farming Program is an undergraduate degree program, and we also have a minor, and there's a Bachelor of Arts as well as a Bachelor of Science. We just launched the coursework for the degree this year. We had our first cohort of students in the introductory class for the agriculture program, and I couldn't be more delighted with the students. They're just absolutely incredible.
How many do you have?
Well, in that introductory course, we had 4 students, all of them from here in Central Kentucky, 2 from Washington County, 1 from Henry County, and another from Taylor County, all from farm families, which is exactly the population of students we're really trying to reach out to. Getting students who have, obviously we want a variety of students, but really getting students involved in the concept of sustainable agriculture and more broadly the concept of agroecology, using ecology as natural systems as a way for modeling agricultural practices and agricultural economies. We want students who are from traditional farm families to really play an important part in this program, and we were more than delighted to have the first group of students all hailing from farm families and from really different backgrounds. So,
well, and I know you just threw out some words about what it means for the Berry Farming Program, but I think, for our audience, excuse me, let's talk about how does this, a lot of people from around here that run some big farm operations majored in agriculture.
That's right.
How does this differ from a regular agriculture major in simple terms?
That's a really good question. Well, in some ways, first of all, I think it's really important for people who are part of the conventional agriculture system not to see these as two necessarily at odds concepts.
Right.
They're not. I mean, one of the things that we're really concentrating on is thinking about how people who are farming conventionally actually many of the farmers who are farming conventionally right now use lots of conservation efforts. I mean, this is just good practice for land stewardship as well as good practice for their bottom line. So, these are not diametrically opposed ideas. In fact, there are ways that we see people already employing some of the techniques and practices that are really central to sustainable agriculture. There are some ways, though, in which the concepts differ. So one of the things that we concentrate on in the classes for the Berry Farming Program is distribution through local markets and using local markets to really bolster local economies. So this is, this is a one step at a time, baby steps to make those kinds of transformations in small town economies and rural economies as well as in the larger urban economies. We see a place like Louisville where Louisville is one of the leaders in local foods.
All over the city.
There are farmers markets all over the city. There are food hubs, and this is one of the things that we really have to work on is making sure that there are infrastructures for farmers to be able to market their products reliably. So a farmer's market is a really, really key part of a local food economy because it's one of the ways that we build social capital. It's one of the ways that we draw people in to the concept of and a commitment to local foods. Know your farmer, know your food. This is one of the ways that happens.
Isn't there a new market in Springfield on Lebanon Hill?
That's correct, yes, and that's another step. So having a distribution centers like a store that will be flexible about the fact that when you are dealing with crops that are not large commodity crops that are sometimes not as storable, for instance, as commodity crops, that's one of the things that you need in a distribution network is someone who's flexible about, okay, we know that you will have certain crops at certain times and not at others. that there will be a seasonality to the foods. And so yes, we the name of the store.
It's where for the people. It's where the old car garage used to be here. For the people that are familiar, whether they're not, because you can tell that it was. It's at the very top of Lebanon Hill.
I believe it's called Family Field Day Market. It's Steve Smith and Talina Koslow have really led the charge on that, and I know that we have already a commitment from, we, as if I'm in charge of it, I'm not at all, but our community, I mean collectively, we as a community have commitments from farmers to have their products in that market, and so I've heard nothing but good things. Actually, I'm going to head over there today to check it out. I've been working on the opening reception for the art exhibit here on campus and working on some international scholarships, which we'll talk about, and haven't had a chance to get over there. But that's another key component, and also making sure that we are integrating local foods into larger institutions like the school systems, like hospitals. I mean, some of the bigger I guess you would say markets that are integral in the process of incorporating local foods. Those are some of the things that we are building towards that are somewhat different from what people might learn in terms of agricultural economics in a more conventional educational system. In terms of the practices that we're talking about using ecology, using nature as the measure for how we measure success in the cropping system. So we are certainly thinking about high yields. We're thinking about environmental health. We're thinking about the economy, the farm economy. This is not something that is, if something isn't economically sustainable for the farm family and for the farm community, then it's not going to be sustainable environmentally either. I mean, those two things go hand in hand in the ways that we're discussing this in the classes.
Well, and I'm thinking of the example of someone wants to do this, and they. I'm thinking about what tobacco took out of the land only because they had to use so much fertilizer to raise tobacco. If someone wants to raise something, how they can do it by using natural products, but also, it's got to be more affordable because, as you well know, the price of ammonium nitrate it's skyrocketed, and for all fertilizers.
That's right.
And people need to learn to be able to use, they're welcome to come to our place and take horse manure anytime they want. And we don't have that much, but I still think that, I think people need to composting, which is just there's a lot of things people could do even on a small, which I would consider on a small scale, that would have a huge impact.
That's right, and I think that one of the, we wouldn't be telling farmers anything they don't know to say that, any time you have an off-farm cost, it increases the, the stress on the farm economics. And so what we concentrate on in the agroecology classes is thinking about how to make the farm itself as self-reliant as possible. So that means starting with reduction of off-farm costs and moving towards, lessening, so that you phase out off-farm costs like chemical fertilizers, minimizing petrochemical inputs, those sorts of things, because that really is good. It's a good economics for the farmer. So this is a new old way of doing things, and we're not hailing or hearkening back to a time when when farmers really struggled. That's not. Farming is hard work. That's another thing. Obviously, we're not going to be telling people they don't know. We're talking about fusing what we know about good farming technology and good farming practices with some of the older methods that have really sustained our farming communities for generations, and that's really rooted in Wendell Berry's thoughts and in his practices as well.
I think it's so hard for people to grasp what Wendell Berry is. Bill Moyers had a special, and you can pull up Bill Moyers and Company on the internet. and you can Google the Wendell Berry special, and it really really tells what this is.
Yes.
He's a very impressive man.
Yeah.
He's very humble. He's a writer.
That's right.
Poet.
A farmer.
And a conservationist. Just an incredible man. And BillMoyersandCompany.com,
right.
and you can watch the special. And I would like for you in maybe just a minute or two to talk about Wendell Berry.
Sure.
I mean, because his name is world famous, and I realized that when we came to the conference here. People were here from all over the world, and this is a worldwide issue: is conservation and being more green.
That's right.
When you say green, what does that mean? It's not just making your grass green; it's trying to make your places healthy.
Yeah, sure. And one thing I'll mention is that we're working now on a presentation of the Bill Moyers interview with Wendell Berry here at St. Catharine, here in Pettus Auditorium, and we'll have a panel of respondents. We are settling
cool.
on. Yes, I believe that at least one, if not two, of the farm families from Washington County who were featured in that the clip, the video. Will be able to serve as respondents, and then also Sister Claire McGowan from New Pioneers has agreed to serve as one of the respondents, and I have students from a couple of my classes who are going to be writing the interview questions, so that we'll have some.
That's neat.
Yeah, I'm really excited to have the students involved with the process of asking the farmers and the representatives from our community about how they respond to the messages that were presented in the interview. And then also to talk a little bit about their experiences working with the Bill Moyers crew and taking them out onto their farms and talking about the life that they live and the work that they do. So we'll publicize that date once we get it settled, and we're really quite excited to host people here from the community for that event.
I thought in that interview, when Wendell Berry did some of his poetry, it really draws you to want to read more of his poetry. It was done quite beautifully.
I thought that their editing
Very
and production was right on point, and they did draw. It was an hour and a half interview that they condensed down to about a 40-minute segment, but they pulled out the most important points. They pulled out some of the key moments that as I was listening to the interview and taking notes, and I went back through the notes, and the highlights from my notes were actually featured in that 40-minute segment. And I was really proud to see the ways that they highlighted the good work that is going on here in Washington County and here in Central Kentucky more generally. But you're right to say that this is, that was a conference, and that was that particular interview illustrates how much attention Wendell Berry has received for his work, and that's for his writing, the beauty of the poetry, the beauty of the prose, and also the power of his writing on helping a variety of people from all walks of life to understand the importance of local food economies and the importance of small rural communities. One of the things that we see with the industrialization of agriculture is that our rural populations have dwindled, and it's really important for us to create situations as much as we possibly can as community members, as educators, as consumers, so that we can maintain strong rural communities, and so that we can attract people to rural communities who care about the land and who care about having good, well-rounded relationships with their neighbors and being involved.
At that conference, I was sitting talking to a man from Chicago, he and his wife, and he said, we are in this beautiful state, and the weather was perfect, and he said, and we are addressing something that is so important to the whole world. He said, my question to you is, why did he choose St. Catherine's College? And I said, location, location, location.
That's right.
We're very rural here.
That's
and
right.
And I'm sure people there are saying, why did he choose St. Catherine's? It's because we are who we are.
That's right.
This is a very, we're right in the heart of the state. It is definitely a rural area. The population of Washington County has gone up 2,000 in 200 years, and from 9,000 to 11,000 if you're looking in the computer, look them up in the statistics. And then we had twice as much land because Marion County broke off and then part of Mercer broke off. So Washington County is prime for this. And I know people are still, that went to that conferences, why did he choose St. Catherine's? But it's because it's where we are.
That's right.
It's where we are.
It's where we are. It's about location, it's about people, and it's about the commitments to community that are so integral, not just to St. Catherine College, but also to the Dominican Sisters of Peace and to the women religious and the religious groups that have been so integral in the development of this area. And so that, I think that when we, part of it is that when we talk about the issue of sustainability and we talk in agriculture and we talk about the issue of stability of rural economies and communities, that's not just about Washington County, and that's not just about Marion and Nelson and Taylor counties. I mean, it's not just about this region. That's an international issue. It's a national issue. It's an international issue.
And that's why we're supposed to be having this interview. We're supposed to be talking about a grant that was given to St. Catherine's from Eleanor Bingham Miller to cover 3 international student scholarships, full scholarships.
Yes.
So give us a synopsis of that. We only have 5 minutes left,
Okay,
so we have to talk about this. That's the purpose of this. But we had to talk about Wendell Berry and everything else too.
We're really excited about this. Eleanor Bingham Miller came forward and said that she would really like to sponsor scholarships for students to come to St. Catherine College, and she really envisioned this as a seed that would not only grow in bringing these students here to St. Catherine to learn about agroecology systems and community development, but that it would encourage others to see this is really worthy work. And so it might be something that encourages other folks to come forward and say, I'd really like to sponsor this kind of thing, not just for the international spectrum, but certainly for domestic and for the state. So one of the reasons, though, that that it's important to pull students in from international locations is because these, and I should say that the main areas where we recruited were areas of intense need in terms of agricultural development, and making sure that the agricultural development is sustainable. That we're not just transplanting a system of agriculture that will create some of the dependencies on big agribusiness corporations that we see really in some ways disempowering and making it harder for farmers here to be self-reliant. We don't want to just transplant that system. We want to make sure that we have people who are out in the world who are empowering farmers and who are working on local economies. So we targeted applicants from sub-Saharan Africa, the Indian subcontinent, and Latin America. These are some of the locations of highest need. So we were pleased to receive 67 applications from 22 countries, and we had a very quick turnaround on this because we are expecting the students to come starting in January of 2014. So we got the information out to about 63 recruiters. That's not counting all the people on listservs, but specifically working with 63 individuals to help recruit and advertise. And within about, I'd say it was probably about a month and a half, almost 2 months of advertising this scholarship, we had 67 applications, and they were all highly qualified. We're not at the point where we're able to make the announcement about whom we have selected. But we will be very, very soon, and
each one of them will be from one of those countries: Africa, India, and Latin America.
There is, yes, actually,
Okay.
it does turn out that way. We were flexible about how, if we had 3 of our top candidates, all of whom hailed from Latin America, then that would be fine too. But it turned out that we had applicants from each of those locations whom we selected. The reason that we're not quite ready to announce that yet is because we're working through some of the, making sure that we have all of the paperwork for their
Sure.
admission to the college. And for those applicants who have not been selected, we haven't announced to them yet either, because we're working on some sort of an arrangement that we might be able to offer them admission even without the scholarship, to see if they have some means by which they might be able to afford to come here, that they would be welcome to. And we're also working to see if there are other folks out in the community who might be interested in helping to fund these people.
But the gift of the students will be here 3 years, 4 years?
It will be, it's a 3-year scholarship, and the reason for that is that this is a 4-year degree, but one of the hallmarks of this program is that we have about 12 credit hours of experiential learning, which means internships and immersion experiences. So those will take place best during the summer months.
Okay.
So we have worked it out that we'll get them through the curriculum in a way that will be really productive for them, but also get them through the program so that they can return to their home communities. And that's a real key component, that their objective is to return to their home communities and begin the work of transforming their communities.
Okay. They'll be here. All of this. I mean, I'm sure everything is paid for. Transportation, everything.
Yes, this
everything.
is one of the things that we expected is that we would receive applications from people with the greatest need, and that has proven to be true for the most part. And so, transportation, housing, room, board. We have funds to cover all of that.
Everything.
That's right, and we're really looking forward to having them here in the community. As I say, the applications we received, it was an incredibly difficult process. Teacher Chakuni, the Dean of Students,
Yes,
as well as
yes.
the Dean of Arts and Sciences, we read through every application very carefully, and it was a difficult process. There were moments that were pretty emotional, reading through the stories of all of these folks who hail from different parts of the world and telling their stories.
Well, this is October, so next year, before we shut the season down for the summer, we'll have them on the show.
That would be wonderful. I think that would be a great way to make sure that people in the community see them.
That'll be very interesting.
And we'll be able to recognize them. And we are just one of the things that we asked of them is to describe their commitment not only to returning to their home communities, but also their commitment to our community. And it was really interesting to see the enthusiasm that they shared with and the ideas for integrating into our community, not just being on campus, and that's one part of the community, but being out in the broader community.
Well, what a generous gift, and what a wonderful opportunity for this program to be able to bring international students, because the conference definitely was international.
That's
and
right.
this just expounds on that.
That's right.
And it's wonderful.
We're looking forward to having these students, and we're looking forward to working on building some scholarship funds for national as well as Kentucky
Local.
State.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, thank you for being here.
Thank you so much for having me.
We covered a lot of
It's always
in 20
a pleasure.
minutes.
That's right. There's a lot going on.
Thank you
very
very
much.
much.
Thank you.